Thank you, Minister. You have well guessed my series of questions in terms of council tax reform. I hope that was fairly obvious. As I'm sure all members across the Chamber regularly do, I do take great interest in the cooperation agreement document that you are signed up to with Plaid Cymru. And in there, as you noted, when it comes to council tax reform, you have an ambition there to reform one of the most regressive forms of taxation, which disproportionately impacts poorer areas of Wales, looking to make it fairer. So, Minister, as you describe this as one of the most regressive forms of taxation, how far will you go to reform it?
I made a statement on the 7th of December providing our early thoughts in response to the work which we commissioned over the period of the last Senedd, which was published in our summary of findings. And that pulled together various potential models for the future as investigated by Bangor University, Cardiff University, Institute of Fiscal Studies and others who have been doing work for us.
I think I suppose that the risk that I'm pointing toward is that we talk about reform, that talks in my mind to a more wholesale change, and some of the things you mentioned there perhaps aren't reform but are merely tweaks or tinkering around the edges, and simply a revaluation, a couple of extra bands added potentially into council tax isn't real reform. And of course it's important to note, of course, that the last time Welsh Government undertook a revaluation in Wales, 1 in 3 households saw a hike in their council tax that they were paying. And I suppose there's also a risk that without real desire to see reform, and that we could be talking about this again in another 5-10 years' time, talking about the regressive nature of council tax, but no real change being made to it, just merely tweaks here and there. So, Minister, are you able to assure us today that you have a real appetite to see changes in this area and see true reform rather than just tweaking things around the edges?